Any jet will do, Colonel Harlan barked, slamming his hand against the map. His infantry were trapped, artillery raining down, minutes from being wiped out. F-35S were grounded, F/A-18S still refueling. The command room shook with desperation. Then a radar blip appeared low, slow, unmistakable. An A-10 Warthog, ancient and uninvited, diving straight into the kill zone. The colonel froze, breath caught. Who would dare? And why did the call sign read Raven 21, a pilot who shouldn't exist anymore? Before we begin, tell us where are you watching from, and if you believe honor and courage still matter. Help keep their legacy alive. The night sky above Iron Valley was burning red. Mortars slammed into the ridgeline, shaking the ground like thunder. 11 soldiers of Alpha Red Team crouched in shattered trenches, helmets pressed to mud, radios screaming static. Any station. This is Alpha Red. We're pinned, requesting air support immediate. Their voices cracked through bursts of gunfire. Another shell landed close. Dirt rained down. Someone yelled they had less than 5 minutes. Cut to Fort Iron Valley, Nevada. Inside the Joint Rescue Coordination Center, the command floor was chaos. Maps covered with red markers glowed on digital screens. Colonel James Harlan leaned over the table, jaw clenched. Get me a pilot. I don't care who. I need something with jets. Now! His voice carried across the room like a whip. Staff officers scrambled through readiness logs, hands shaking over keyboards. An operations officer called out, Sir F-35 squadron grounded. Fuel system check. Another shouted, FA-18 detachment currently refueling. Earliest launch. 20 minutes. Harlan slammed his fist. 20 minutes. They don't have 20 minutes. His finger stabbed at the blinking red cluster marking Alpha Red's position. A junior officer hesitated, then spoke low. Sir, there's one pilot outside the zone. Already reporting ready. An A-10C. Heads turned. The room went still for half a beat. Harlan's glare cut across the silence. An A-10! His voice dripped disbelief. That relic I asked for jets. I need speed, not a flying tank. The officer's cheeks burned. He tried again. Sir, she's already airborne. Every console operator froze. Radar operators leaned forward. On their screens, a single slow blip had appeared heading straight for Grid Echo 9. Colonel Harlan's voice rose. Who authorized that takeoff? No one answered. His eyes snapped to the comms desk. Get me that pilot on secure channel. Now. Static hissed back. Raven 21, this is Fort Iron Valley. Identify yourself. Return to base immediately. Silence. The blip kept moving. A comms tech flipped channels. Voice urgent. Raven 21, acknowledge. You are not cleared for combat airspace. Still nothing. Then over the main frequency, another voice came alive. Calm. Female. Clear despite the static. Alpha Red. This is Raven 21. I have your position. Hold tight. The command room froze. All eyes went to Colonel Harlan. His face tightened. He snatched the microphone. Raven 21, you are not authorized for this mission. That's a direct order. Return to base. The female voice answered. Steady, almost measured. Colonel, with respect, your men don't have the time. I'm in position. Alpha Red's desperate call broke in again. Louder, rawer. We're being overrun. We need air support now. For a moment, nothing but radio static and the low drone of machines filled the command floor. Harlan stared at the radar blip. It was moving faster now, hugging the valley floor. He barked again into the comms. Raven 21, that's an order. Turn back immediately. Silence. The blip on radar kept closing in. A radar officer whispered, eyes glued to his scope. Sir, she's masking under terrain. She's coming in low, under coverage. Harlan spun toward him. She, who said it's a she? The junior officer swallowed, voice breaking. Sir, Raven 21's call sign. It was retired 4 years ago, after Operation Cold Veil. The words hung in the air. A few senior staff exchanged looks. Everyone knew the name, but no one said more. Colonel Harlan's jaw locked. His voice dropped into a growl. Operation Cold Veil was classified. Raven 21 does not exist. But the blip on the radar told another story. Down in Iron Valley, Alpha Red's radio crackled again. We hear engines low-altitude East Ridge. Soldiers lifted their heads, eyes wide. Through smoke and fog, the growl of twin turbines rolled over the valley like a storm front. One soldier whispered, "No way. That's a Warthog." Back at Fort Iron Valley, the room tensed. Colonel Harlan gripped the edge of the table. His face was pale under the fluorescent lights. "Someone tell me who the hell is flying that thing." The radar sweep confirmed it. The A-10 was less than 3 miles out, cutting through the valley like a shadow. Colonel Harlan's voice shook with fury. "This is a violation of every protocol we have." He jabbed at the screen. "Get me her file. Everything we have on Raven 21 now." But the answer came quick. "Sir, Raven 21 isn't on the active roster. Not on any roster. That call sign was retired." In the trenches of Echo 9, Alpha Red braced themselves. Shells fell silent for a moment. Then the roar of an A-10 ripped the air apart. The battlefield held its breath. Back in the command center, every officer stared at the radar. The unknown pilot was already beginning her attack run. Colonel Harlan's hand hovered over the comms switch, but he didn't press it. His voice was low, more to himself than to anyone else. "She's not waiting for permission." The lights flickered as another shell exploded near Alpha Red. Their desperate voices carried through again. "All stations, this is Alpha Red. Whoever that is up there, don't let her leave. She's our only chance." The blip dove on the screen. The growl of turbines rose. The moment of decision had come. The valley shook as Raven 21 dropped beneath the ridgeline. Her A-10 hugged the earth, gray hull blending with dust and smoke. The sound of twin engines rolled like thunder across Echo 9. Alpha Red soldiers looked up from their shallow cover. Eyes widened at the silhouette sweeping through haze. A voice broke on the radio, half disbelief, half relief. "That's a Hog. We're not alone." In Fort Iron Valley's command room, the radar operator's tone was urgent. "Target is entering the hot zone. Altitude barely 300 feet. His hands trembled on the console. Colonel Harlan barked, "She's insane." Flying that low in artillery range, Lieutenant Danner cut in, quiet but firm. "Sir, that's exactly how you survive. Under their radar, using the terrain, inside the cockpit." Raven 21's gloved hands steadied the throttle. Instruments glowed faint green, but she barely looked. Eyes fixed on the valley, scanning smoke plumes and muzzle flashes. Old-school targeting, no guidance, no systems, just instinct and experience. On the ground, Alpha Red's radio screamed, "Enemy battery North Ridge, 3 tubes firing." A soldier shouted, pointing. Seconds later, Raven 21 banked left, nose dipping. The GAU-8 cannon erupted. Brrrt! The sound split the valley like ripping steel. Shell casings poured out like rain. A second later, the ridge blossomed into fire. 3 tubes silenced. Alpha Red cheered, voices raw. Direct hit, direct hit. Their fear turned into roaring hope. In the command center, technicians froze at their displays. A weapons officer whispered, stunned. 72 rounds fired. 3 targets destroyed. Perfect separation. Danner leaned forward. "She doesn't miss." Colonel Harlan's voice was tight. "That's impossible. In fog like this, no lock, no laser." Danner didn't look away from the radar. "She doesn't need them." Raven 21 climbed slightly, then cut hard to the right, pulling into another valley fold. Her aircraft rattled under the strain, but she held steady. New reports crackled over Alpha Red's frequency. Second battery east side. Concealed positions. Mortars continued to pound. Soldiers screamed for cover. Raven 21's voice slid calmly into the chaos. "Alpha Red, mark your position with smoke. Stay down after release." They fumbled a canister. Purple smoke rising above shattered ground. Through the haze, Raven 21 locked with her eyes alone. She pressed the trigger. The GAU-8 thundered again. Fire tore across the East Ridge. Silence followed. Alpha Red's leader radioed in, voice breaking. "We're still here? All 11? She cleared the way. The command room erupted in chatter. Officers scrambled for explanations. Data feeds couldn't match what they saw. A senior analyst muttered, No pilot attempts visual targeting in weather like this. It's suicide, another answered softly. Unless she's done it before, many times, on the battlefield. Alpha Red regrouped, sprinting between burning craters. They moved with renewed courage, following the sound of engines overhead. Enemy forces tried to adjust. Trucks scrambled into cover. Gunners repositioned. But Raven 21 was already circling back. She dipped low again, turbines screaming through the valley floor. Muzzle flashes flared below. She adjusted angle by fractions of degrees, the kind only experience could teach. Another burst. Brrrr, sparks ignited fuel stores hidden in camouflaged nets. A fireball erupted, rolling skyward. Alpha Red shielded their eyes from the heat wave. In Fort Iron Valley, the room fell silent. Colonel Harlan stood rigid, watching the blip carve impossible paths across hostile terrain. One young officer whispered what many were thinking. It's like she knows exactly where they'll fire before they do. Raven. 21's final pass came swift. She strafed along the ridge one last time, tearing apart scattered artillery crews who still fought back. Smoke swallowed the valley in gray waves. Then her calm voice returned on Alpha Red's radio. You're clear. Move to extraction point Echo South. I'll cover until you're mobile. The soldiers didn't hesitate. They sprinted across broken ground, every step covered by the growl above. One paused to look skyward, whispering, Whoever you are, thank you. Minutes later, Alpha Red reported in. Base, this is Alpha Red. All 11 alive, no casualties. Artillery destroyed. Repeat, enemy batteries neutralized. The command room erupted again. Relief washed across tired faces. But beneath it was awe, and something heavier. Colonel Harlan sat back, unable to hide the tremor in his voice. She just executed a textbook rescue with nothing but eyes and instincts. Lieutenant Danner's reply was quiet. Sir, she's been here before. That's why she flies like this. Raven 21's blip pulled sharply on the radar, climbing away. Then, just as suddenly it vanished. Dropped below coverage. Gone. Comms officers tried frequency after frequency. Raven 21, respond. We need your debrief. Nothing. Alpha Red cut in one last time, voices heavy with relief. Base, whoever that pilot was, tell her we owe her everything. The command floor stilled. Officers exchanged uneasy glances. Some smiled faintly. Others shook their heads. Colonel Harlan didn't speak. He simply stared at the empty radar, jaw tight, mind racing. The room understood. A phantom had come, saved their men, and vanished again. Colonel Harlan's office door slammed shut behind him. The room was dim, lit only by the glow of classified terminals. Files stacked high on the table were stamped with bold red lettering. Restricted access. He didn't hesitate. Open Operation Coldvale. Full archive. The technician at the console stiffened. Sir, that requires level 7 clearance. Harlan leaned in, eyes like steel. Then give me level 7. The technician's fingers moved fast. Lines of data scrolled across the monitor. Blacked out paragraphs, redactions, casualty counts. The silence inside the office grew heavy. Lieutenant Danner stood nearby, trying to read over the technician's shoulder. His voice was cautious. Sir, Cold Vale, wasn't that the op in the northern ridges? The one nobody talks about? The screen flickered, revealing after-action notes. The technician read aloud, voice subdued. Mixed squadron, sent into hostile zone based on faulty intelligence. 6 aircraft lost in the first wave. 16 survivors stranded across 30 square miles. Command ordered withdrawal. Danner frowned. Withdrawal with men alive down there. Harlan's jaw clenched. He knew what came next. The technician continued. One pilot ignored the order. Unauthorized launch. A-10 Thunderbolt 2. Call sign Raven 21. Name Captain Eliza Marrow. The name landed like a thunderclap. Danner whispered it, as if testing the weight. Eliza Marrow. The report detailed her actions in cold numbers. 14 separate runs into hostile airspace, each time. Drawing enemy fire, shielding rescue teams, marking survivor positions, each time. Returning with damage that would have grounded most aircraft. One line stood out in stark black print. Final run hydraulics destroyed. Left engine failing. Navigation systems dead. Pilot conducted emergency landing 25 miles from base. All 16 survivors extracted alive. The technician scrolled further, face tightening. After review, pilot charged with gross insubordination, disobeying direct stand-down order. Danner's fists clenched. She saved 16 people. That's not insubordination, that's leadership. Harlan's voice was rough. It was defiance, and command doesn't forgive defiance. A second document appeared, transcript of her disciplinary hearing. Eliza's words echoed through the quiet room. I will not apologize for bringing them home alive. If that costs me my wings, so be it, Danner whispered again, almost to himself. She chose dismissal over silence. The technician nodded grimly. Dismissed with prejudice. Names scrubbed from active rosters. Callsign Raven 21 retired. The room was thick with unease. Harlan stared at the screen, replaying the precision he had just witnessed over Echo 9. Only someone forged in impossible conditions could fly like that. The technician added, voice lower still. Sir, there's more. Over the last 4 years, there have been anomalies. Harlan snapped his head up. Define anomalies. The man swallowed. 17 unexplained rescues. Remote operations declared too dangerous. Teams written off. Then hours later, they're suddenly extracted or covered by unidentified air support. Always described the same way. Low pass. Cannon fire. Precision strikes. A hog. Danner's breath caught. She never stopped. Harlan demanded, show me the pattern. The monitor lit up with a map of global incidents. Red markers dotted mountain ranges, deserts, forests. Each one carried the same notation. Unidentified A-10 successful rescue. Pilot unknown. The colonel leaned forward, voice grim. She's been listening to our channels, monitoring abandoned missions. The technician confirmed. It matches. Every time we call off a rescue, she appears within hours, then disappears. Danner couldn't contain himself. She's doing what we should have done. What we refused to do. Harlan's voice sharpened. Don't mistake recklessness for heroism, Lieutenant. But the protest died in his throat. Because deep down, Harlan knew protocol had nearly killed Alpha Red that night. Only Raven 21's Defiance saved them. The technician pulled one final note. A quote scribbled in her personnel file, almost like a warning. As long as one soldier waits on the ground, I'll never leave my aircraft idle. The words hung heavy. They weren't numbers, weren't protocol, they were a vow. Harlan pushed away from the desk, pacing. His voice was lower now, almost reflective. So she's been out there all this time. Unofficial, unseen. Saving lives command already counted as lost. Danner stepped forward, eyes burning. And tonight, she proved she's still better than all of us. The room was silent again, filled only by the hum of machines. The technician locked eyes with the colonel. Sir, what do we do with this knowledge? Harlan turned to the window. Outside, night stretched dark over the base. He could still hear the phantom roar of engines echoing in his mind. He spoke slowly, each word deliberate. We admit the truth. Raven 21 never stopped flying, and she doesn't need our orders to keep saving lives. No one argued, because every man in that room had seen it with their own eyes. The phantom of Operation Cold Veil was real, and she had just written her next chapter. 3 mornings later, fog rolled over Fort Iron Valley's auxiliary strip. Security cameras caught the silhouette of an aircraft descending without clearance. The tower scrambled, alarms briefly flaring, then silenced when the shape took form. It was the same A-10, weathered gray, scarred fuselage, no tail number visible. The Warthog rolled to a stop and powered down, cockpit canopy misting in the cold air. Troops rushed forward but froze at the tape line. The cockpit was empty, no pilot in sight. Only a folded sheet of paper rested on the seat. Colonel Harlan arrived within minutes, escorted by guards. He climbed the ladder, slid the canopy open, and picked up the note. Written in clean script, I don't need thanks. I need them alive. He stood there for a long moment, eyes fixed on the words. Then he turned. Move this bird to Hangar 9, secure it, but don't treat it as evidence. Treat it as insurance. Mechanics guided the Warthog across the tarmac. They whispered among themselves, staring at modifications never logged in any manual. Reinforced armor panels, rewired avionics, ammunition racks optimized for maximum efficiency. Someone had poured years of work into keeping it battle-ready. Inside hangar, 9 pilots gathered. They circled the aircraft like reverent onlookers at a monument. One veteran muttered, "This isn't just maintenance, this is devotion. Whoever flies her this hog is family." Word spread quickly across the base. By nightfall, every squadron had heard. The Phantom of Echo 9, the ghost who defied orders but saved lives. Raven 21 had become legend. Yet strange reports trickled in. Security patrols noticed shadows near Hangar 9 at odd hours. Tools shifted, panels left freshly tightened, ammunition magazines perfectly aligned. No one ever saw who did it. A crew chief finally told Colonel Harlan, nervous but certain, "Sir, someone is maintaining her at night. Better than any of us could." Harlan only nodded. "Then let them. Some things work best when left alone." Weeks passed. The hog remained spotless, ready, though no official crew touched her. Alpha Red sent a small package, a combat patch engraved with their unit name. They asked it be left inside the cockpit. The patch lay on the pilot's seat like a silent thank you. Harlan ordered a plaque mounted on the hangar wall, just a silhouette of an A-10 cutting through smoke. Beneath it, 2 words, Raven 21. New pilots asked questions. Veterans spoke carefully, almost in hushed tones. "She isn't on the roster, but when all else fails, she comes." One young flyer asked, "Is she still active?" The answer came quiet. "She's active when she needs to be." Missions continued. Officially, some rescues were marked impossible. Yet every so often, hours later, reports returned. Stranded troops extracted. Enemy batteries silenced. Witnesses swore they heard turbines growling low. The bird of a cannon. Then nothing. Always the same description, an old hog. Painted gray. Vanishing into fog. Colonel Harlan retired 2 years later. His farewell ceremony drew every squadron to the field. He spoke without notes. Gaze steady on the rows of uniforms. You'll face moments when the book has no answer. When orders say stand down, but your conscience says otherwise. Remember this, our duty is not to obey perfectly. Our duty is to bring them home. He turned toward the plaque in Hangar 9. His voice dropped. Sometimes the most vital missions happen outside official channels. That doesn't make them wrong. It makes them necessary. The crowd stood in silence, no applause, no ceremony, only respect. That night, mechanics found a new note resting in the cockpit. "Thank you for understanding. Some vows never end." Signed simply, R21. The tradition carried on. Colonel Sarah Whitfield, Harlan's successor, kept Hangar 9 open. When pressed by higher command about the irregular arrangement, she repeated Harlan's words. "Some capabilities are too valuable to erase." Over the next 3 years, 12 more unexplained rescues were logged, each flawless, each unclaimed, each whispered to belong to Raven 21. The legend grew. Among pilots, the plaque became more than a marker, it was a reminder. That duty wasn't about recognition. It was about the soldier crouched in the dirt, praying for help that never came. Except sometimes, it did. They called it the Raven Protocol. Not official, not written. Just a belief passed from one aircrew to the next. If you hear silence when someone cries for support, listen harder. Somewhere, Raven 21 might already be inbound. The hog sat quietly in Hangar 9 wings still, fuselage gleaming under soft lights. No ceremony announced her presence. No name appeared on the roster. But every pilot knew, if the day came when hope was gone, the growl of turbines might return, and the ghost of Cold Vale would fly again. If you enjoyed the story, consider sending a super chat to help bring more stories like this. Now, click on the video on the screen to hear another story that's just as powerful and captivating, with courage, sacrifice, and a choice that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about duty and justice.